Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good to see you, sir. This is the largest budget ever submitted, and the largest as a share of the economy since World War II. And I really want to learn a little bit more about how you developed this. The President's been talking about transparency and openness. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and we might be able to. I might have to ask you some more in writing. But
let me just, though, sir, preface it by saying, obviously, the discussions that we had with the President, I'm going to, not fully answer, just to protect our internal discussions, but go ahead.
Well, I just want to know if you personally met with people outside the government to develop proposals that are reflected in this budget, and who those individuals would be.
To my knowledge, I did not personally meet with outside representatives while this budget was being discussed, but we could get a fuller answer to make sure that's...
Yes, emails, correspondence, phones, that kind of thing from outside entities.
I don't live entirely inside a bubble, so inevitably there are people who contact me through email and other means as budget proposals are being developed.
Well, I ask this because in the budget itself, the President states, quote, "It is no coincidence that the policy failures of the past 8 years have been accompanied by unprecedented government secrecy and unprecedented access by lobbyists and the well-connected." The New York Times recently reminded us that now, according to them, quote, "liberal groups are flexing new muscle in lobby wars." So there's no secret that on the right and the left there are interest groups that want to have input. The President himself in this budget says that was horrible, and he's talked about transparency and openness. That's why I'm asking these questions. I think it's important that we follow the President's own words, and that's why I'm asking these questions, because he's the one who's been talking about transparency and openness. So yes, I would like to know, for example, emails, faxes, any other contacts that you've had from interest groups outside. If you could, will you provide those for us?
I'll again have to. As you know, there's a long history of discussion between the Congress and the White House as to a balance between transparency and also not revealing. We would not want the internal discussions with, especially the President, to be undermined in terms of their frankness from well, period. Let me just.
You're starting to sound a lot like the previous administration. I just thought I'd mention that.
I don't. But let's talk about.
Which is not a bad thing necessarily.
But
I'm just telling you that you're sounding a lot like the previous administration.
I didn't intend to, and I hope that's not the case.
Well, you clearly are.
Let me just say, in terms of transparency, we are taking several steps to improve transparency. I'll give you one example. When I was CBO director, folks did like the fact that I had a blog to be able to talk about what we were doing. I have started a blog at OMB, and you'll see a lot of output on that blog so that we can provide more transparency about what we're doing.
Now, I understand your concern about contacts between staff and the President. How about, did the President meet or call or email anyone outside regarding this budget proposal?
Again, I understand the road you're trying to take me down here. I'm going to just, if you want to submit questions in writing, we'll get the appropriate White House counsel and other ethics officers to provide the answers.
Well, again, and the reason, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but the reason is that I'm actually reading from the President's own word in this budget that was submitted, where he talks about that being a problem.
This administration is happy to be held to a historic level of transparency and accountability. And again, I just don't want to, given the questions you're asking, make a mistake with regard to either the law or existing procedures. So I'll defer to questions.
And I understand that, and that's right. But again, since the President has talked about a historic level of transparency, let me ask you a couple of questions. Did those White House staffers, consult with or receive input from any outside interest groups before giving you instructions regarding this budget? The witness right now just said that they're trying to have unprecedented transparency. I just want to see what that means. What does unprecedented transparency mean? Does it mean the same standards that the previous administration used, or different standards? What I'm hearing right now, Mr. Chairman, and I understand what he's saying, is that it's basically the same standards that the previous administration used, and I just wanted to see if there was any difference. I have not heard any difference, Mr. Chairman. So I will yield back.
I think you will see a difference, but again, I'm going to defer to the appropriate officials to get back to you in writing.
Thank you.